Today we are learning herringbone weave. This is perhaps the only design on this sampler that requires a specific number and layout of colors, 2, which you'll alternate on each layer. We'll start by using surface satin stitch to fill in the entire space with your first color of thread. The amount of space left between each stitch should be just enough for one more thread, perhaps with the tiniest bit of wiggle room on either side. After all, whenever you're creating a full weave without gaps, you need to start with a little bit of gappage so that you have room for that second layer of thread. Once the entire section is filled in with the first color, we'll go back with our second color of thread, adding a stitch between each of the existing ones, so we end up with a fully satin stitch shape, striped all the way across. Now we'll begin weaving in the perpendicular direction. You can start with either color of thread, it won't make a difference. Our first stitch will weave over 2 threads, then under 2 threads, almost like you're considering the 2 colors next to each other to be a single bar. Once you reach the other side, go back down through the fabric. You can then come up again a bit away, leaving just enough space for a single stitch to lay between these two, just as we did on the first layer. This stitch will be woven in the offset of the first, so where we went over before will now go under, and vice versa. Continue filling in the entire section with this first color, offsetting the weave of each new stitch and always leaving just enough space between stitches for one more to fit. Switching to our second color, we'll finish off the weave by placing another stitch between each of the existing ones in this direction. With your first stitch, decide which neighbor you want to copy, the thread to the right or the one to the left. Whichever weave pattern you follow, that will be the rule for the rest of the shape. I'm copying the weave pattern of the stitch on the left, so I'll go over and under 2 threads at a time in the same way I did with that stitch. Since I chose left, I'll continue to copy the weave pattern to the left of each new stitch as I fill in the rest of the area. This double color 2-thread offset weave will create a herringbone pattern. Although that little bit of open space between stitches is very handy while weaving, this particular weave will look better the closer you can get your stitches together. And that's herringbone weave. And we're done.